talking about?
Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
This is my South Africa. South Africa, there is nowhere like it. Hello, I'm Ryan. I am the chef and co-owner of Salsify Roundhouse in Camps Bay. We are situated in a national monument named the Roundhouse. Salsify started a year ago. We're just coming up to our first birthday now, and our food here is based very much on things that inspire us, which is season-led, and we're all about humble cooking, honoring the ingredient, honoring a single ingredient, and making the spotlight shine as bright as we possibly can on it. So I'm going to show you 5 of our top dishes, starting with our Amasi curd cooked leeks and sunflower. So, start it off. Everything we do is very much about what's in season now. And starting that trend, we're using baby leeks as we're coming into the end of winter. We take them, we prep them all down, and then we're going to blanch them in what is an Amasi curd. And Amasi is a traditional African buttermilk. So we take that and we use that because of the fact that it's got a nice natural acidity to it. So we take the Amasi and we add a little bit of lemon juice, and the lemon juice just adds a natural acidity which helps it split out nicely. And we bring that up just under the simmer until it splits out, and we use both parts of it. So what we do here is very much about using everything. So we want to honor. We don't use the term root to leaf or nose to tail or like head to tail on a fish. We just honor the whole ingredient because we're trying to minimize our wastage and lessen our carbon footprint really. And the best way to do that is to use everything. So like most of our food here, you'll see we'll take the Amasi, we'll split it out, we'll use the whey, we'll turn that into a dressing, we'll take the curd, we'll blend it out, and we'll use that on the plate. Then we use every part of the leek. We'll take the tips of the leek, we'll burn them, we'll turn them into powder, we'll use the base of the leeks. So we really try and use absolutely everything. And for me, that's just about responsible cooking more than anything else. So, yeah, so we're going to take the Amasi, bring it up, split it out, hang the solids, and then we're going to take the leeks, we're going to cook those down in the whey. And then we added sunflower. So the sunflower seeds are going to add like a sort of natural nuttiness without adding any nuts, because that would be a cheap trick. And then with that, I was taught when I was a youngster that what grows together goes together. And in keeping with that, that's kind of like how we've maintained that. So we're just going to get a little bit of water, give that a nice little rinse. And then, so this dish is the first dish on our tasting menu, which is we do seven course tasting menu with a choice of choices all the way through. And the reason we do that is because I think times have really moved towards like what chefs have sort of started dictating towards their customers and their diners as to what they're allowed to have. So what we've done is given choices in as many places as possible, to kind of put the power back into the consumer's hand. And for me, that's quite important because I've got a shellfish allergy, and I've eaten at a few top restaurants where you kind of go there, and because I have a shellfish allergy, I've kind of lost out. So with that in mind, Salsify is very much about putting the power back in the diner's hand. So for every course, we try and give you 2 or 3 options. And that's just because, yeah, it's good to have choices. So we're going to take our Amasi as soon as it comes up. We let that sit, turn it off. We're going to let that sit for a few minutes to split it out. And then we've taken Swiss chard. We use a lot of local suppliers, a lot of local sort of people, because yeah, you need to use the best of what you have available. And in doing that, we've used people that are all around us. So we've started building relationships with all our farmers around us and everywhere else. There's a place in Roundhouse that we use. And that's just because it's a farm and it's in the city, and we don't really have access to large-scale farms, so we just use our relationships, and we get a lot of inspiration from things that are growing at the time. And then we're going to take our Amasi whey, bring it up again, and then we're going to split it out. So then we've taken our buttermilk, we've added a little bit of acidity to that, and now we're going to strain it out, and we're going to use the whey. And the whey we're going to turn into a dressing. We're almost going to caramelize it. So let that sit for a minute. So this dish is the first course on our tasting menu, and for me it is very important to use a sort of vegetable dish with something as understated as a leek as a sort of star component. And the reason for that is because it'd be quite easy to put a bit of foie gras on the menu or a bit of truffle on the menu. But the thing is that I don't want to say it's easy, but it's almost expected. And when you kind of go along the lines of something as humble as a leek, you kind of have to be quite clever and thought-provoking to make it work. And for people to go, oh wow, that was a really clever dish. And for me, that's what it's about. It's about almost impressing your diner with your ability to create something using something as humble as a baby leek. Alright, so we're making a little salsa that we're going to put at the top, and in the meantime we're going to toast off a little bit of sunflower seed. And I need to set a timer because I'll forget them in the oven. 2-minute timers for my leeks, Bobby. Yeah. A little bit of salt. Do you have a Amasi curd, EB? So for our salsa, we're going to take, we've got cucumber, we've got chard that's grown at the Roundhouse City farm. And then we've just kind of used the chard to add a little bit of natural sort of texture to it. Cucumber for freshness as well, then we add a little bit of lemon, just because part of your essential seasoning. Alright, so now we're going to take our Amasi curd that we've let sit for a few minutes. So now we've taken it, we've let it sit, we've brought it just under the scald. Now it splits out nicely. You can see that the whey is dripping through nicely. So that's going to be still quite light, but it's got a nice acidity. We're going to take that. We're going to cook our baby leeks in that, so that's going to impart like a nice sort of natural acidity to that, and then we'll finish that with a little bit of butter because the fat's going to add a sort of complexity to the otherwise acidic dish. Right, my timer. Microplane. Molten salt. Alright, now we're going to take our baby leeks. So when we first opened Salsify, it was very much on the back end of working at the test kitchen. When you work at a place like the test kitchen that's known for its sort of like reinvention and everything else, the question kind of became, where to from here? And the obvious answer was sort of like re-establishing like our own sort of stamp and direction in what we believe food to be about. So for me, like to recreate everything I thought as a chef and like reinvent myself, even as a young chef, was still a hard thing to do. It was quite challenging, but it was a sort of challenge that I needed. And so for me, it was about things that matter. It's very much about eating what feels good and what's in season and like what's right. So now we're going to cook our baby leeks. So that you're going to let go for a few minutes, and then we're going to make a little bone rosette quickly. So wild leeks have just come into season with us. So these are known as three triangle leeks. So this is basically a product that grows in the green belts of the Western Cape. And we take them, we pick a load of them, and we're just going to use that. So it's very much in keeping everything as local as possible. And yeah, so we take the stalk, we blanch that in our way as well, and we use the flowers, keeping in tune with the whole waste not, want not mentality of the restaurant. So when I was younger, I worked in a restaurant out in an area called Franschhoek. I worked with a chef named Chris Erasmus, and that was just after I'd come back from the UK after working at Michelin star restaurants, which are really difficult and like quite challenging. And so the first job I had back when I came to South Africa was in Franschhoek with a man named Chris Erasmus, and he's known as like the forager. So when I worked out with him, we used to forage everything. So our days would start at like 7 o'clock in the morning. We'd wake up and we go out to the forest for 3 or 4 hours and come back with whatever was in. So that sort of became integral to my outlook of what I believe food to be about, and it's very much based off of that in some aspects. And it's also like, it's different. It helps you create a story that's unique to your location, which we've really tried to do here. All right, and that's there. All right, we've taken out our baby leeks. We've blanched them in our Amasi. We're now just going to add a little bit of burnt rosette to that. Finish that under the salamander. And then spring onion. Take a little spring onion. Take a semmel. We're going to blanch that lightly, and then we're going to char that off, and the char is going to add another level of complexity to that. We've taken our Amasi, we've blanched it in, and now we're going to reduce that down. Right, so then we're going to start with our Amasi curd. I'm just going to build the dish as everything's ready. Can I get a spoon pot on the pass, please, Francois?
Yes, sir.
All right, so then we've taken our Amasi curd. And then we're adding sunflowers and quinoa for a sort of like a nut crunch. Oh, that's coming down. All right, spring onions there. Where'd I put my luffy? I have that squash. Alright, so we got our sunflowers. Can I get some landing paper, please? Alright. A little bit of burnt rosette. Alright, a little bit of burnt rosette. Add the nut crunch. And so then we take our salsa. Dress that guy up. So we got lemon zest in there because you want that sort of citrus freshness without the acidity of the juice. I'm just going to knock that down. So that's going to be our whey reduction that we can add some oil to and turn that into a dressing. We take salsa. So that's your chard salsa. And now we take our spring onion. Just gonna score that down there. Score it just to make the sort of practical side of eating sensible. And then yeah, so now we've got our baby leeks, which we've dressed in burnt rosette to add that sort of like natural fatty element to something that we've cooked in whey. And then we've taken sunflower seeds, we've toasted them off, and we've turned them into like a hollandaise style dressing, and then aerated that. So this is puffed quinoa, and that's also just for like the texture side of things. And with the hollandaise that we make a hollandaise sort of dressing, and that's just for to carry on with that sort of nuttiness and the fat element of everything. And then toasted miso powder. We take miso, we dehydrate it, and then we blend it into a powder because you want that sort of umami like feel, but you also don't want it to be like Asian, because in everyone's doing that at the moment. So it's like kind of like, how do we break away from that? Can I get a pair of scissors for the Mizuna? So you got your wild leek flowers, you've got your baby leeks, your spring onion. So this is really like a sort of celebration of like the end of winter in Cape Town, and which is why we've had to add so much acidity to all of it. So now we take that into there. You got your burn rosette, your Amasi whey, and then take that. Where's the hollandaise, EB? So you juice that right the way down, and that will just spoon over the top of that. And a jug and pesto. Alright, so then this is Mizuna shoot. Mizuna is also related to the mustard family. That's also going to add a sort of very, very light pepperiness to the dish. So you've kind of covered all. You got your sodium in the form of miso, you got your pepper in the form of Mizuna, and then your acidity in the form of your Amasi, which is your African buttermilk whey. Yeah, and then to finish that off, we use a sunflower cream, and that's just going to add that sort of natural, full nutty without using nuts. So you have a toasted seed like feel to the dish, and then toasted quinoa for crunch, and then we use a sweet rocket snow. So we take sweet rocket, we pick it down, and we turn that into a pesto using toasted sunflower seeds, and then we use liquid nitrogen. So you've got your sweet rocket snow, which is like ice cold, and then you've got your sunflower cream, which is hot, and that adds sort of temperature difference. So the dish is quite simple in aesthetic, but you've ticked all the boxes. You've got hot, you've got cold, you've got creamy, you've got sour, you've got fatty, and it kind of like, yeah, adds to the idea of clever cooking. Thanks. All right, and then that goes there, and then this guy goes on there. Done. Right, so there we have it. So that is your Amasi cooked baby leeks.